Oh, look at this mess. I know this is going to be a real surprise, but this is what we're on today. I actually started my bike one time. I was at a buddy's house and he was on kind of an incline like this. Actually, it was my old CBR. It didn't have much shake to it, but it would still work its way down the driveway with the vibration and the slope, and I had to put my foot on the kickstand while I was putting my helmet on, because otherwise it'd run away. Just had to stop at the bank for a work thing, and the lady's like, "Oh, what do you ride?" I was like, "Oh, Ducati 1299." She goes, "My husband's got a Multistrada. We ride that thing everywhere." I was like, yeah, it's exciting. Everybody's always excited about Ducati for some reason, but nobody ever has one. Especially around here, there's not that many people anyway. So I've got multiple jobs. Look how tall that corn is. So I have a couple of different jobs, and one of them, I'm a computer programmer for a company that's large enough that, I don't know the best way to say it, the application that I wrote and maintain directly faces the customer, and there's millions of people that use this application daily. And I might be so bold to say that probably a large subset of the people that watch this channel are directly affected by this application. I have the pleasure of working with a lot of really smart people, and one of the guys is kind of an older guy, and he's done punch cards and all that old stuff. Well, he's definitely the most brilliant programmer that I know, and he tells me his backstory, and his backstory comes with no formal computer programming education. And this guy said that back in the day he used to crunch numbers in like part of an accounting firm, and they had a few computer programs that ran, and there was a mistake on one of them, and he just looked at it and he's like, "Oh, hey, I think this might be your mistake." He did the logic in his head, and he said, "Oh yeah, no, this was added here instead of that, so I think this was what the mistake was." And they were short on programmers at the time, and they said, "Oh hey, this guy's showing some interest, and why don't we throw him a bone, and maybe he can do all right." And his boss was like, "No, his future's in accounting, not programming, so we're going to keep him where he is." This guy's sister started dating a dude that was part of a consulting firm that did computer consulting, and this was back in like the late 60s, early 70s. And he didn't know anything about computers, and he kept asking the guy like, "Oh hey, I've got an interest in this, you wanna help me out, and can you teach me anything?" Well, the guy does like a crash course, and he goes, "All right, I'll put you through the crash course, see how you do, and maybe we'll end up finding you something. Maybe we'll find you a job somewhere." So he goes through this crash course that was like a week long, takes the test, barely passes, and he said, "I took the test on Friday, and on Monday I was placed as some all-knowing computer consultant at this firm." And he goes, "I used to hunker down and sit in my cube and listen to all these people talk about all this computer jargon, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna find me out. I'm gonna be out of here quicker than I got in." So the place had a library, and you could check out all these technical manuals, and he said he went there, checked out a couple of books, and laid down in front of the TV in the living room and took notes cover to cover on all these IBM manuals. And then he goes, "Come to find out, all these people I was listening to were completely wrong. They were giving it their best guess, and they were just giving all this information out that was wrong when in the manual, now I know it." So he did become this all-knowing guy, and he didn't forget any of it. So he's the fastest, most brilliant, most complicated programmer that I've ever worked with, and his code is readable and it's beautiful, and just rarely does he ever make a mistake. But he's kind of older, and I was asking him the other day, I was like, "Hey, you got any brothers and sisters?" And he goes, "Well, I've got 4 older siblings, and the next oldest is like 10 years older than I am." And he goes, "But it was terrible when I was a kid. They'd all tell me like, oh yeah, after you went to bed, you're so young, you had an early bedtime, and after you went to bed, we all stayed up and had a party." He's like, "Ah." And I thought that was pretty funny. He goes, "Yeah, but I'm getting the last laugh because they're all dying now." Oh my God. I don't know. It's going to be a sad day when that guy retires. You would think that this guy would have his life completely together, but at one point he was telling me that he worked in this place that made those sesame sticks, and he was the guy that was in charge. They called him a cook, but he was just in charge of like heating the oil up in the morning. He said everybody started at 8 o'clock except for him, who had to get there at 3 in order to turn the thing on to make the oil heat all the way up. Said it was miserable. And then he said he got fired because he drove a forklift through a wall. Until next time, watch your 6.